Okay, today I want to talk to you about food intolerance and how to identify it, how to test for it, and learn to identify foods that when you eat them they create immune responses in your body that can be detrimental and create symptoms. And they might not show up for up to 72 hours. So there's food allergies and there's food intolerance. A food allergy shows up immediately, within minutes of eating a food. You know that that food that you ate, the symptoms that you're experiencing are related to that. And with a food intolerance, it might take up to 72 hours to experience, and the symptoms manifest differently. So rarely do we remember what we ate 3 days ago, let alone just yesterday, to identify, correlate what you're experiencing with what you ate maybe 2-3 days ago. But what happens when you eat certain foods that you're intolerant to, the most common are glutens, which are in wheat, rye, oats, and barley. And it could be soy protein, and that's in a lot of products that people eat. It can be dairy, especially pasteurized dairy. It can be nightshade foods, like your sweet peppers, or actually any pepper, potatoes, tomatoes, and eggplant. Actually, tobacco is in the nightshade family too. A lot of people don't actually eat that. So you can test these foods and identify them. Those are the most common. Eggs, yeast is a common food that people are intolerant to. So when you eat a food that you're allergic to, you know within minutes you get a response. It's called an immunoglobulin E, an IgE response. And it happens quickly. And it manifests primarily through the skin and the mucous membranes. So you might have difficulty breathing, you might break out in hives all over your skin, things like that. The food intolerance response is immunoglobulin G, IgG. And that takes longer to manifest, and it manifests primarily in the blood itself. And it can cause a clumping of the red blood cells, called rouleau, which decreases the surface area for oxygen transport from your lungs out to the tissues of the body. And it can create other problems with the thickening of the blood, things like that. So you might not correlate those symptoms with what you've been eating. And the half-life of these immunoglobulins, which are antibodies, is 21 days for the IgG, which again is related to the food intolerance response. And so in 3 weeks, half of those are still in the blood. 3 weeks later, half of those are still in the blood. So it takes about 10 half-life cycles to completely wash it out of the blood from experiencing just one meal with that food that you're intolerant to. And if you're eating more than one of those frequently, these immunoglobulins build up in the blood. So they build up to a point where they start to trigger the release of histamines from mast cells, which are immune cells in our body. Histamines are inflammatory in nature in the body. They create inflammation. They act as an excitatory neurotransmitter in the nervous system. It excites your brain and hype you up on that level. And then histamines are the most stimulating substance known in the body to the adrenal glands. So they're whipping the tired horse. And you get these histamines again because the immunoglobulin G is built up to such a high level, because you've been eating foods, maybe a lot of them, and frequently, and they're building up in the blood, causing the mast cells to produce the histamine. So you get all these symptoms of high levels of histamine in the body, and people rarely do they correlate it with foods that they've been eating. Now the IgE, the anaphylactic or the food allergy type response, the half-life is like 2.5 days. So it washes out of the blood a lot quicker than the IgG, food intolerance. So the way we test to find out if these foods are biocompatible with your body is we'll test a muscle, usually one of the muscles related to the stomach acupuncture meridian. Every skeletal muscle in the body is linked to an acupuncture meridian, or it's like a circuit, an energy highway on the body. So there's several muscles related to the stomach, and we'll be testing pectoralis major clavicular muscle, which is right in here. And we want to start with a strong muscle, and then we'll put the substance in question on the tongue, and we'll retest. If that muscle remains strong, the body's saying that it's okay. If it changes from strong to weak when you put it on the tongue, the body's telling you not good, and the body's responding in a way that you have a weakness in that muscle when you test it. So we'll test several several foods, and show you how to do this and how you can find out these foods for yourself. Okay, now we're going to show you how to muscle test using principles of applied kinesiology. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to test the pectoralis major clavicular muscle. That's related to the stomach acupuncture meridian. And you can actually use any muscle in the body, because when you have a food that you're intolerant to, place on your tongue, it causes a global weakness of all the muscles in the body. But for ease of how we're doing this, it's an accessible muscle, and one that you can easily tell the difference between a facilitated and inhibited function. So what we're going to do is start with this muscle. We have our person hold their arm up and turn the palm out away. And the muscle we're testing, let your arm come down. It goes from the humerus across over the clavicle, attaches right in here. So I'm going to have him hold his arm and don't let me push. And it's good and strong. Okay? Bring this arm up. You check both of them, turn it down. Stabilize here so I don't tilt his whole body. Hold strong, and that's strong. Okay, good. So we've got two muscles that are testable. Okay. So now what we're going to do is test them several common offender foods. And what I'll do is put a sample of each on the tongue, and then see if you can still hold that muscle strong like you did. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Stick your tongue up, please, a little farther. Good. And the body gets it through the taste buds into the brain immediately. Bring this arm up, and don't let me push that way. Hold strong, and he can't hold strong. It doesn't lock like it did. Oh. You can tell the difference, right? Yeah. Okay, now wipe that off your tongue, please. And just drop it in here, away from the body. Okay, I'm going to put a couple of these on there so you can get them. So that was gluten. That was vital gluten flour. Gluten is a protein that is formed in wheat, rye, oats, and barley when you make anything with the flour. So the act of kneading it creates the glutens. So they're really difficult for people to digest, especially if you don't have a strong enough hydrochloric acid production, which should be down to about 1.4 pH. And if it's not 2.5 or below, then you can't digest, you can't make pepsin and gastrin in the stomach to digest proteins, including the glutens in wheat, rye, oats, and barley. So you have large peptides, they're unbroken down protein complexes that get into the body, into the blood, and then the body sees them as foreign protein and creates these antibodies to them in response. So the gluten itself damages the lining of the small intestine where you absorb the nutrition, and it creates a condition where you can't get the nutrition out of your food or your supplements. So it's really important that you identify this, and if you're intolerant, get it out of your diet. So as we get older, we get weaker digestion, and it makes it harder to break these foods down where we might have been able to more adequately when we were younger. As we get older, it gets more difficult. So I'm going to check another food. Stick your tongue out. Actually, I need to show you in between. You wipe that off the tongue. Let's retest and see if we still have hold. Okay, still got a strong muscle, strong indicator muscle. Stick your tongue out and put this on there. And bring your arm back up, please. And hold strong. And you remain strong on that. You can wipe that out, please. And that was corn. That was organic corn, not your commercial biotech genetically modified corn. He was okay with corn, not okay with the gluten. All right, and this is organic corn. Okay, the next one I'm going to test farther. Okay, bring your arm back up. And out, hold strong. Hold. And that's okay. You can wipe that out. That was dairy. That was non-fat dry milk, pasteurized dairy. And he's okay with that. So his immune system is okay with it. He's not going to create these antibodies if he has that. Okay, and next one. Stick your tongue out. Bring your arm back up. Hold strong. Hold real strong. Okay, see how you can't lock that arm? That was soy. Okay, go ahead and wipe that off. Soy protein is really difficult for a lot of humans to break down. And so if you can't break it down, it's going to create these peptide chains that, again, get into the body. The immune system sees them as foreign protein and creates antibodies to them. So, soy is also a thyroid inhibitor. The isoflavones in soy are endocrine disruptors, especially to the thyroid gland. And your thyroid controls everything, including digestion. So there's a kind of a double whammy there if you're eating these foods. Okay, now I'm going to check some other foods, and I'm going to take a piece of these. Stick your tongue out and bring your arm up. And don't let me push. Hold strong. Okay, hold real strong. He's good and strong. You can spit that out, please. And that was pepper, red pepper, which is in the nightshade family. Put this on your tongue, bring your arm back up, and hold strong, real strong. Okay, he's weak on that. That's tomato, also in the nightshade family. Put your tongue out, and bring your arm back up. Hold strong. You are trying, right? Hold strong. Okay, he's even weaker on that. That is potato, another nightshade food. And stick your tongue out. Taste that. Bring your arm back up. Hold strong. Hold. Okay, he's okay on that. That's eggplant, another nightshade food. So he was okay with peppers and eggplants, but not okay with tomatoes and potatoes. So think of all the foods that you have with potatoes and tomatoes that are causing a reaction in your body. And we're going to check them with another food here. Stick your tongue out, put this on there and taste that. Bring your arm back up. Hold strong, real strong. And he's okay on that. That's peanuts. You can wipe that off your tongue. And that's how simple it is to test these foods. You make sure you have a strong, and this could be any muscle in the body, but make sure it's strong. Bring this one up in the clear. I'm using the pectoralis major clavicular, also because it relates to the stomach, which is more closely related to what we're testing with the foods in the diet. So when you weaken on a food like this, we recommend people go off of it for at least 3 months to give body time to wash those antibodies out of the blood, and then retest and see if the body still weakens. There's certain foods that you'll be weak on no matter how long you stay away from them and come back to it. Some things you just had too much of it, and any food that you eat will create these immune responses, because anything that you take in until it gets humanized in the liver, broken down in the gut, and then taken to the liver for processing, is considered foreign or other than the body. So anything that you eat, your body will make these immunoglobulins to a certain amount. certain foods, you make a bunch of them, ones that you test weak on. So even if you're eating fairly healthy foods, if you eat them all the time, don't give your body a break, these accumulate, because again they have the IgG, immunoglobulin has a 21-day half-life. So it takes about 3 months for it to wash out of the blood. So this is how easy it is, and you can test each other, your friends. Just make sure you have strong muscle. Some people do it with an arm pull-down test. Make sure the person keeps their arm straight. They don't bend the arm and recruit other muscles to try to keep the arm from being weak. It's not a strength test, it's just asking the body, is this biocompatible with me? Is it okay for me to have? So, hope you understand this and can apply it.